What's good people? This is Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Today we are going to be talking about who is the real HBCU football national champions. Now, I know some of you are like, South Carolina State won the Celebration Bowl, but there is another school not named Jackson State and some other publications that say other teams besides South Carolina State are national champions. We're going to talk about it right after the bumper. What's good people? This is Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments in the chat and down below because I love to respond to comments. I respond to all the comments. So there is that. Now we're here today to talk about who is the real HBCU national champions on the football field. Please leave your comments. Leave your comments on who you believe is the real HBCU national champions. Now, we all know that South Carolina State won the 2021 Cricket Celebration Bowl down in Atlanta, Georgia in a 31-10 victory over Jackson State. South Carolina State, if you didn't know who they were before then, you found out who the Bulldogs were, and Coach Buddy Pugh and them went down there and handled business. Shaq Griffin, the big-time 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver, had 3 touchdowns. They just went crazy on Jackson State. Forced 3 turnovers from Shedeur Sanders. They just were all over the field. But there was a lot of people that feel like South Carolina State wasn't the HBCU national champions, presumably a big-time publication by the name of the Black College Sports Network. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Black College Sports Network is one of the premier black sports networks covering HBCU sports and athletics. Shout out to Roy over there at BCSN. Now, here is what the BCSN put out. It says the year 2021 Division-I National Champions, Jackson State. They give the title, even though on the field, Jackson State lost. Now, this article was written by a man by the name of Brian Fulford. Brian Fulford, a Black College Sports Network, says that Jackson State is your 2021 national champions. Now, let's kind of read about why Mr. Fulford believes that Jackson State. Let's skip right here to this good part. It says our 2021 BCSN Black College National Champions in the Division I level is the Jackson State Tigers, coached by Deion Sanders. The Tigers finished the season with 11 wins and 2 losses, unbeaten in conference play, 8-0 in the SWAC. The first SWAC championship is 2017 over Prairie View and in the SWAC championship game. They were the only FCS HBCU team to have double-digit victories and have the fewest losses, only 2. That's a good point, Mr. Fulford. They're the only FCS school with double-digit wins, HBCU that is, double-digit wins, and they have the fewest losses. 2, among all black college football teams at the FCS level. The Tigers played one FBS opponent, Louisiana Monroe, and lost 12-7, and one Division II opponent, Delta State, and won 24-17. This is the school's 4th Black College National Championship in their eyes. In their eyes. Now, he goes on to say, if not JSU, then who? JSU's loss to South Carolina State in the Celebration Bowl created a type of controversy and debate of the fan bases between 3 programs that will argue for years to come. First to argue over our selection is the Bulldogs of SC State, who finished 7-5 and are coached by the school's all-time winningest coach in MEAC Hall of Famer Buddy Pugh. South Carolina State is one of the original members of the MEAC and have won outright or shared 18 conference titles, 8 under Coach Pugh, along with 4 Black College National Championships, last in 2009. Despite going unbeaten in conference play, 5-0, they were 1-5 in non-conference play. South Carolina State, let's see, So their biggest thing is the reason why they don't want to give South Carolina State the championship, from what I understand, is the fact that they had a 10-point loss to North Carolina A&T. South Carolina State chose to play 4 of the 6 non-conference games versus HBCU opponents. They played 3 common opponents with Jackson State: FAMU, Alabama A&M, and Bethune-Cookman. The Bulldogs lost by 23 to FAMU, by 1 point to Alabama A&M, and won by 7 points to Bethune-Cookman. So They didn't really give a good reason why. I guess because they said they played the same opponents as Jackson State, 3 common opponents, and they lost to 2 and only beat 1, whereas Jackson State beat all 3 of those opponents. I guess that's their only reason. And then obviously there's the Rattlers of FAMU, and FAMU is in here and they believe that they won the Black College National Championship. Now I'm gonna show you guys something really interesting from FAMU. Keep that in mind. I said that FAMU, let's see, yes, North Carolina A&T beat South Carolina State in their own house, which is true. That is some true. The MEAC continues their dominance over the SWAC. FAMU left the MEAC because they couldn't win. Ooh, now that's interesting, Mr. William Humphrey. Shout out to Mr. William Humphrey. He says FAMU left the MEAC because they couldn't beat the teams in the MEAC. And that's an interesting point, albeit they beat South Carolina State by 23 points this year. And we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about that. But keep the comments coming in because, like I said, I respond to all comments. South Carolina State is the HBCU National Champions. And I'll tell you how I feel at the end of it. But I'm going to show you guys something very interesting. We spoke about FAMU and how FAMU beat South Carolina State by 23 points on the field. FAMU put out something that was very, very, very interesting when they defeated South Carolina State. Some of you may have even seen it on the cover of this broadcast. I'm going to show you something that was tweeted out by FAMU. Now, it looks like they may have deleted it from their Twitter, by the way. It looks like the official FAMU account may have deleted this, but this is something that they put out. FAMU put this out, guys. Oh, bring that back up. FAMU, the school, put out that they were the 2021 HBCU National Champions. Let me know in the chat if you can see that. They were the 2021 HBCU National Champions. Now, FAMU's call to, their claim at the HBCU National Championship is the fact that they had that 23-point win over South Carolina State. FAMU played Jackson State as well, and they lost by 1 point. It was 7-6. It was in Miami. It was the Orange Blossom Classic. It was the first time they played the Orange Blossom Classic, I want to say, in over almost 50 years. They hadn't played the Orange Blossom Classic in over 40 years. They brought it back this season, saw Coach Willie Simmons and FAMU go against Coach Deion Sanders and Jackson State down in Miami, Orange Blossom Classic, and Jackson State ended up winning that game by 1 point. Now, FAMU went on to rattle off, 9 out of 11 wins the rest of the season, going 9-3 and getting a bid to the FCS playoffs. But the reason why they weren't in the biggest reason why they weren't in the Celebration Bowl is because they had that loss to Jackson State. So FAMU has decided to label themselves as the 2021 HBCU National Champions because they feel like since they beat the Celebration Bowl winners head-to-head and only lost to Jackson State by 1 point the first game of the season, and they probably feel like if they would have saw Jackson State at the end of the season or towards the middle of the season or any game besides the first game of the season, just like how they saw South Carolina State during the season, they would have beaten Jackson State too. Now, once again, that's a bunch of woulda, coulda, shouldas, and maybes, but that is how they feel, and that is why they declared themselves HBCU National Champions. Now, all of this is just a bunch of information to process. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Now, Mr. Terry Harris says FAMU shouldn't be in the discussion. They got smashed in the playoffs. See, Terry, we can't do that, though, because the teams in the playoffs aren't the teams that are vying for a HBCU National Championship. You got to remember the reason, and I've explained this in previous videos, the reason why Jackson State and or South Carolina State didn't even go to the playoff is because the commissioners of both the MEAC and the SWAC decided that putting their teams in a Celebration Bowl is more beneficial to their schools, to their universities, to their football programs, as opposed to sending them to the FCS playoffs. See, what you got to understand in the FCS playoffs, it's different than the college football playoff you see with like Alabama and Georgia and all that stuff. In the FCS playoffs, one, you cover all the costs to get there. And a lot of times you're playing teams like North Dakota State, you're playing teams like Sam Houston State, you're playing all these teams all across the country. And because you're an HBCU, you have to travel to their school. So you cover all the costs to travel there, you cover all the costs to put yourselves up there, and there's no monetary value that you get from playing in the FCS playoffs. So that is why they created the Celebration Bowl, and that is why that takes place. But okay, so Terry says he knows exactly what's taking place. So I just was explaining that for the audience, by the way. So why the FCS playoffs? I think that the FAMU getting beat up in the FCS playoffs, that's null and void. I don't even think that matters at all. But FAMU has an interesting point because they feel like now they can feel how they want. They lost head to head to Jackson State, but head to head they did beat South Carolina State. So Jackson State did win the SWAC. Bowie State. Now someone says Bowie State should be in the conversation. That's interesting. That is interesting, but Bowie State is Division-II. So I will point that out. Bowie State did have a great season, and in that same article we read earlier from Black College Sports Network, they gave Bowie State the national championship of Division-II, or non-FCS/FBS. So they gave Bowie State the HBCU National Championship for, the non-FCS class, but that is interesting to see that the Bowie State is in there. So I think Bowie State had a really, really good season. So shout out to them. And so we got Black College Sports Network saying Jackson State, even though they lost the Celebration Bowl, is the HBCU National Champions. You got Florida A&M, FAMU, declaring themselves the HBCU National Champions. I'm going to read to you another article. We're going to look at this other article from boxtoro.com. It sounds like they keep up with HBCU. They take a coaches poll and they take a media poll of HBCU National Champions, and I'm going to show you who they had as the HBCU National Champion. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs up. My YouTube is Jeff Lightsy Jr. Let's see. I'm going to show you from Box to Row, and they have their coaches poll for the HBCU National Champions, and they have South Carolina State. Sounds like it may have been voted on by the coaches. It sounds like from the coaches poll, they have South Carolina State. After, 3 straight years of North Carolina A&T, they have South Carolina State. That is their coaches poll. From their media poll, someone said Bowie State. This is what comes from the media poll. After 3 straight years of North Carolina A&T, they put Bowie State as well, and I believe a lot of that has the fact to do with, we mentioned earlier, South Carolina State has 5 losses on the year, including a loss to Bowie State. Not Bowie State, including a loss to a big, blowout loss to FAMU, including a loss to North Carolina A&T, who didn't have that great of a season. They had a losing record this year, and a close win to a Bethune-Cookman team who wasn't that great as far as record-wise either. So that is probably why they have Bowie State, who had a really, really good year. But the coaches have South Carolina State. What do you guys think of this? What are you guys thinking of some of these polls that we're reading of who should be the real HBCU National Champion? Because I find all of this interesting. At some point, I'm going to give my thoughts on it, but this is super interesting because there's a lot of different, moving pieces. There's a lot of, it's interesting, but it's also kind of cool because it lets me know a lot of people, including you all who are watching right now, both live and on the replay, are interested in who's winning, like who is being declared national champion. I think this is a level of interest that HBCU sports hasn't gotten, and that is beautiful to see. It's beautiful to watch, and it's beautiful to see it actually take place. Now, let's look at some of your comments. It looks like we have someone that's saying, if you look at the conference championships, JSU won the SWAC. So yes, JSU did win the SWAC. FAMU did not win. FAMU did not win the SWAC. JSU won the SWAC. So someone is saying, I'm guessing, Terry, let me know in the comments if I'm correct. You're saying that they should be, at least in consideration over FAMU. Real Talk says, exactly, they agreed to sign with the SWAC, understanding the terms and conditions of who was crowned. They can't move the goalposts to tailor their needs. I like that, Real Talk, because That's the thing. If we're going to declare the celebration, and I feel real talk on this, if we're going to declare the Celebration Bowl as the HBCU National Championship, we can't come up here and say that, oh, it's only the HBCU National Championship when the team with the most wins actually wins the Celebration Bowl. No. It's the HBCU National Championship for whoever wins it. It's not the HBCU National Championship when the most popular team wins it, whether that's North Carolina A&T in years past, or Grambling, who has a huge brand, or Jackson State, who has a huge brand, both history and now with Coach Prime Deion Sanders, or even a FAMU, who has like a bigger brand, I would say, as opposed to a South Carolina State, who has more of a grittier brand, more of a hardworking brand, has a bunch of guys in the NFL, has 4 Hall of Famers in the NFL, but they're not the flashy, sexy team, right? Jackson State, and even FAMU to a certain extent. FAMU with the cool jerseys. FAMU's got the LeBron James endorsement deal where they got the LeBron logos, one of the only schools in the country with the actual LeBron James logo. So they're flashy. They're cool. They got that orange. They're the Rattlers. They're down in Florida. Like, they're, you know what I'm saying? Chad Johnson. Shout out to Chad Johnson. Reps them a whole lot. Like, FAMU is flashy. Jackson State is sexy, right? Jackson State got Coach Prime. They got the 5 stars, Travis Hunter. They got Shedeur Sanders, who gets the Beats by Dre deals, and he's linked with Tom Brady and the Brady stuff. So, you know, that's a cool brand. But South Carolina State, all they do is win. Let me know if I'm lying in the chat. All they do is win, and all they do is produce pros. Jacoby Durant is a pro, period. Shaq Griffin, I think, is a pro. Darius Leonard is the best linebacker in the NFL. They've got pros all over the NFL. So we can't, like Real Talk said, we just can't move the goalposts. We can't say the Celebration Bowl and put all these resources and this hype and building up this game, and then when the team wins, isn't the team we expected to win, or isn't the team we want to win wins it, and then try to move the goalposts. We just, to me, and so there we go. We're getting my thoughts. That's how I feel. Let me read some more of your comments. The AP determined the national champions for years without a head-to-head game. That is true. Now, that is true because, as we know, the Celebration Bowl has only been around 6-7 years. There's only been 6 total Celebration Bowls played. And so for a long time, networks like Black College Sports Network and other things have declared national champions that didn't really conclude in a head-to-head game like a Celebration Bowl. So that is very true, William. That is very, very true. We got some Aggie pride in here. Never heard of it. What coaches are in the that's interesting. I probably can read to you in the article. If we read the article, it says the box row SBS coaches poll, medium poll are administered from the press box to press row. The coaches poll is in its 12th year as voted on by the HBCU football championship. I'm reading right here for those who don't understand. Championship subdivision coaches, and the media poll in its 14th year. It's voted on by media members around the country who cover HBCU football. So that's their pitch, the box Toro. That's how they're saying they're getting their polls. So that's interesting. So they have Bowie State as the champions in one poll, and then they had South Carolina State, who actually won the Celebration Bowl, as the champions in the other. Now, Roz Roy says, I think FAMU is the best in the HBCU, but South Carolina State is the champion. So that's a good way to look at it, Ross, because you can say, now that's different than saying FAMU is the national champions. You can say, hey, at the end of the year, I believe FAMU was the best HBCU football team. And that's an argument you can have. That's an argument you can go back and forth with whoever. Jackson State fans will say we beat you head to head. FAMU fans will say you played us first game of the season, and by the midseason, late season, we were rolling. We also curb stomped South Carolina State, but South Carolina State is the champs. I can rock with that. I can rock with that because the reason why I can rock with that, and why I respect that, the reason why I respect that is because, say for example, in the college football playoff, in the big time Division-I, Alabama has a loss on the season. They could very well go on to win the college football playoff and the national championship, and they'll be declared national champions, but Texas A&M beat them during the season. So Texas A&M fans, and albeit it wouldn't be a very smart or logical argument, could say, hey, we were better than Alabama, or we were better that day than Alabama, but Alabama is the national champions. FAMU was better than South Carolina State that day. The day that they played, they were better than them. They curb stomped them. They beat them 30-7. It wasn't relatively close. But South Carolina State handled business, went undefeated in their conference, met up with Jackson State, and beat Jackson State head-to-head in the national championship game, and therefore they are national champions. Now, Terry says JSU won the SWAC. FAMU can't stay that. I mean, that is a fact. That is very, very true. William says FAMU is the best inside the Tallahassee city limits. That is actually funny. That is pretty funny to say that FAMU is all Alabama trophies are mythical. I don't know about that, Terry. I think that's a bit much. Now, what I also want to show you, so FAMU did not, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Thumbs up. We're having a good time. We're having a good time. Thank you, William, for enjoying my podcast. But I want to show you guys some stuff, because when Jackson State, as we all know, Jackson State came into the Celebration Bowl as the heavy favorites, like heavy favorites to win over South Carolina State. South Carolina State curb stomped them, beat them to death, 30-10. So I'm going to show you some tweets that was put out by some cats over there at FAMU about Jackson State. Now, there is a young man. But what is this young man? His name is Nicholas Dixon. Mr. Nicholas Dixon is a tight end for FAMU. Now, for those of you who might not know Nicholas Dixon, I didn't know who Nicholas Dixon is, but Nicholas Dixon is an interesting character because I know who he is, and I damn sure I'm gonna be looking for him next season. So Nicholas Dixon put out this tweet after Jackson State took their ass whooping from, got beat down pretty bad by South Carolina State. He put this tweet out. He said, "Go recruit 5 stars, more 5 stars. You're gonna need them. We'll see you next fall." Now, Mr. Nicholas Dixon is a player for FAMU. He is number 88. His name is Public Enemy number 1. He's changed it. He used to just be Throwed Up 88, which is still his Twitter name. But he changed his name to Public Enemy number 1 because when he put out this tweet, obviously it wasn't well received within the world of Jackson, Mississippi, and a world a lot of people in college football and HBCU football. So Mr. Dixon puts that tweet out. And a few people saw that tweet, and they were not too fond of it. Hold on. Oh, I forgot to show you guys this. I literally forgot to show you a tweet from, we're talking about national championships, and I totally forgot. Like, it totally slipped my mind because I was ready to get to that tweet. But it totally slipped my mind to show you guys the tweet from head coach Willie Simmons that says, the 2021 Florida A&M Rattlers once again sit atop the HBCU Division-I world as national champions. So when I say FAMU believes that they are the HBCU National Champions, it starts from the top down. The top down believe that FAMU are your HBCU National Champions. Yeah, that's head coach Willie Simmons. That's their head coach. He tweeted that. It wasn't just like, nobodies. Obviously, we had different people with different polls. Willie Simmons, the head coach of FAMU, believes this. And he, believes it so much that he actually tweeted it. And he showed the final poll from NCAA.com. And I'm going to show you guys that. I forgot to show, I don't know how this slipped my mind. Show you guys the final poll from NCAA.com that shows FAMU, the final HBCU power rankings for the 2021 season. And it shows Florida A&M right there at the top at 9-3. And it's got South Carolina State, the winners of the Celebration Bowl, at number 2, with Jackson State coming in a distant 3rd. See, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of this because what is the purpose of the Celebration Bowl? What is the purpose of playing the games? What is the purpose of having a Celebration Bowl? What is the purpose of doing any of this stuff if we're just gonna, label anybody as HBCU National Champions? Oh, let's just give it to FAMU because they beat South Carolina State, but they lost to Jackson State. Oh, let's just give it to who? Like, head coach Willie Simmons tweeted this out. Like, this is on his official Twitter account. Now, I'm gonna read some of your comments. It says, now, how do you factor Tennessee State, A&T, and Hampton into the polls when they don't play enough HBCUs? How do they factor the non-HBCUs in the strength of schedule to determine a preseason top 10? That is a good question, Lawrence. See, how I would do that, Because as we know, A&T plays in the Big South now. They used to be in the MEAC, but now they're in the Big South. Tennessee State is in the OVC, and I forget where Hampton is. But they're all in different. I want to say Hampton's in the MEAC though. So how you do that is because a lot of these schools still play HBCUs. Tennessee State still plays Jackson State. Now they have an OVC conference schedule, but they have some non-conference games that paired them against Jackson State, that paired them against some of the HBCUs. A&T the same. A&T has a lot of games that pairs them against some of the big schools. Now, Real Talk says the Celebration Bowl will be at risk. That is interesting. That's an interesting take because it's like we're diminishing the thing we created. We as a people, as in the SWAC and the MEAC, as in black people, us black people created the Celebration Bowl to declare, at least it is when I first saw it, I thought it was to declare a national championship. It's declare a national champion among the HBCU ranks. But when you have, publications like the NCAA.com and people like head coach Willie Simmons of FAMU giving them validation, saying that they don't give a damn who won the Celebration Bowl. This is not a specialty year. It's not like FAMU could have went to the Celebration Bowl. They lost to Jackson State head-to-head. Jackson State went undefeated in the SWAC, won the SWAC title, played in the Celebration Bowl, and lost. They lost. They just happened to lose to a team that FAMU beat. Now, regardless of all of that, and regardless of the fact that South Carolina State does have 5 losses on the season, South Carolina State won the HBCU National Championship. As far as I'm concerned, I don't give a damn I got respect those guys over there at the Black College Sports Network. I love those guys. Roy is a great guy. I respect, some of the people over there at the NCAA. But come on, guys, we can't, like someone said earlier, we cannot move the goalposts. We can't just say, because FAMU is the cool, sexy school with the LeBron James jerseys, that they're the national champions when South Carolina State went on the field. South Carolina State's the ones with the ring. Because how the hell's FAMU? Think about this. Think about how backwards this sounds. Hit the thumbs up button, guys, for those of you listening. Shout out to y'all for tuning in, rocking with me. How backwards does this sound? FAMU has no rings for this season. They didn't win their division title because they were in the same division in the SWAC as Jackson State. Jackson State won one division. Prairie View won a division. So they didn't get a ring for a division title. So obviously if you didn't win a division title, you didn't win a conference title. Jackson State won the SWAC. So they didn't win a division title. They didn't win a conference title. They didn't win a Celebration Bowl title. So, because, South Carolina State won that title. So they didn't win a division title. They didn't win a conference title. They didn't win a Celebration Bowl title. But they're the national champions? Like, someone please explain that to me. How in the hell can you not have a ring all from doing anything this year, and somehow you get the biggest ring as being labeled the national champions? That makes no sense. That makes 0 sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. You have 0 rings, no division, no conference, no Celebration Bowl. But somehow you want to claim you're the national champions? Like, someone, if I'm missing something, please leave it in the chat. Please put it in the comments because that don't make sense to me. I respond to all comments. I respond to everything. I can't make any sense of that. Like, I can't make any sense of that. So I get it. Coach Willie Simmons wants to, big up his program, big up his team as, saying we're the 2021 national champions, but you're not. South Carolina State is. South Carolina State, to me, are the undisputed national champions. They won the Celebration Bowl. Now, I get it if a team like Tennessee State ends up say in fall of 2022, Tennessee State, who plays in the OVC, they don't play in a MEAC or a SWAC or, they play in the OVC. If they come out and say, they go 12-0, Eddie George ends up having a great recruiting class, and they go 12-0 and they manhandle Jackson State and they manhandle any other HBCUs on their schedule or whoever, and they go 12-0, and they're like, we're the Black College National Champions. There might be some controversy there. This one, though, even this one right here, a team with no rings all season cannot claim they are the HBCU champions. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. You can't have a ring all year and then come in and say you get the biggest ring, which is the title of HBCU National Champions. That will not fly with me. South Carolina State won their division, they won their conference, and they won the Celebration Bowl. They are the national champions. And they won the Celebration Bowl conference and division as underdogs. Because you remember, they started the season 1-5. They started the season 1-5. They won 5 in a row to win their division and win their conference. They go to Celebration Bowl after not playing football for like a month. They didn't play football for a month. Came in as heavy underdogs. Like, I can't remember what the spread was, but it was at least a touchdown. It might have been like closer to like 8 or 9 points. Heavy underdogs, and won the Celebration Bowl. They are the HBCU National Champions. Now, back to Mr. Nicholas Dixon. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, guys. Correction, South Carolina State won, and JSU won conference championships. James, I'm with you. I'm with you. FAMU deserves no consideration. Shout out to James. So, back to Mr. Nicholas Dixon. So, before I kind of, got caught up by Coach Willie Simmons' tweet, because I forgot about that one, I was looking at a young man's tweet by the name of Mr. Nicholas Dixon. Now, Mr. Nicholas Dixon is an interesting character because he put up this tweet. Let me show you guys his tweet again. Let me share my screen. And he put up this tweet. He put up, "Go recruit more 5-stars. You're going to need them. We will see y'all next fall," and put out the rattler snake emoji because he is public enemy number 1. Numero uno. He want all the smoke. Who won't smoke with me? Who won't smoke with me? Mr. Nicholas Dixon won't smoke with you. Yeah, Mr. Nicholas Dixon wants all the smoke from everyone. Now, from that tweet, obviously, came a slew of other tweets from both players, fans, etc. One of the better ones came from Mr. Antoine Owen. Now, for those of you who know, Antoine Owen is a player on Jackson State. He's a defensive lineman, and he put up this tweet. He said, "Less talk, more work, young one." And you might be wondering what this tweet was. Well, it was a snapshot of Mr. Nicholas Dixon's season. And on the season, Mr. Nicholas Dixon had 6 catches for 48 yards and 1 touchdown. This was the young man who decided he wanted to take on Jackson State in the entire internet with 6 catches, 48 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, young man, I am not a Division I college football player, nor have I ever been one. But I think I would know better with taking on the entire internet when I had 6 catches for 48 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, the reason why Mr. Nicholas Dixon labeled himself public enemy number 1 is because he took on the world after Jackson State took a beating in that Celebration Bowl. I'm going to show you guys a tweet from Darius Leonard. You guys know Darius Leonard, all-pro NFL linebacker. Darius Leonard, the highest paid linebacker in the NFL. Darius Leonard, one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Darius Leonard put out this tweet originally. He said, "The MEAC runs the SWAC again, baby. Argue with your mama." Argue with your mama, because Darius Leonard is a graduate of South Carolina State University. So, obviously, he was hyped for his alma mater. He was hyped for his school. He was hyped for his coach, Buddy Pugh, who's been there 20 years and coached pros like Darius Leonard. But Mr. Nicholas Dixon, public enemy number 1, said, "Stop it." Stop it. The MEAC runs Jackson, and put a picture of the score, 30-7, when FAMU beat the hell out of South Carolina State. Now, Mr. Nicholas Dixon wasn't done on his Twitter rampage, because the young man is very, very interesting. So these were some tweets he had. There were some deleted tweets in here. Well, all those tweets are deleted. I don't even want to go through that because it's a bunch of deleted tweets. But he also had some words with Deshaun Nugget Warren. Deshaun Nugget Warren, who is the stud defensive back from Jackson State. And these are the tweets between the two, because all of this is interesting. And I'm pointing all of this out because this is building up the hype for next fall, for the fall of 2022, that I am going to be ecstatic about covering HBCU sports. Now, Nugget put out his tweet. After the 5-star tweet, Nugget says, "Worry about yourself, partner." And Mr. Public Enemy number 1 says, the way you got cooked today, you need to put that phone down and hit the lab. Now, Nugget asks, let me know what I gave up. Let's show more of the replies. That 4th and 19, a smooth flag route. Go get in the lab, son. We gonna holler at y'all next fall. Nugget let it be known, I didn't give up more than 70 yards all year, but it's all good to know you were watching. I'll see you next season. See you next season, son. Okay, baby boy. Don't you guys love a good Twitter beef? I do. I love good Twitter trash talk because that lets me know these guys are passionate. That lets me know these guys want it. That lets me know these guys ain't just going to sit there and let their school and let their team and let their guys get bashed. But hold on, fellas. Mr. 88, Nicholas Dixon, wasn't through. Mr. Nicholas Dixon had more words for guys over there at Jackson State. Mr. Nicholas Dixon added Michael Please, who was a recent linebacker signing he transferred from Southern Miss to Jackson State. He says, at Michael Please, it's personal. So I'm going to see you in Miami for sure. And I hope your pass rush is better than 57's. 57 being Niles Gaddy on Jackson State roster. Wow. I mean, this man had all the smoke for everybody. There was no sneak diss. There was no sub tweeting. There was nothing. There was no way guys from Jackson State, Antoine Owen, Michael Please, Dejon Nugget Warren, all these guys saw what this dude tweeted. Also, Aubrey Miller. There was some Aubrey Miller tweets, but Aubrey Miller, I think, went back and deleted his tweets. But there was a back and forth between Aubrey Miller and Mr. Public Enemy number 1, Nicholas Dixon, as well. This guy is not messing around. He is putting all the Jackson State folks on notice. He and his coach let it be known that FAMU are the HBCU National Champions, and Mr. Nicholas Dixon is letting it be known that he wants all the smoke with all the dudes from Jackson State. Now, Diligent says, I can't stand stupid schools talking on FAMU and don't know what they're talking about. What do you mean, Diligent? What do you mean stupid schools talking on FAMU? We're just discussing who is the HBCU National Champion. It says, yes, Niles Gaddy started the entire season. Yeah, he was talking about Niles Gaddy, and that is going to be interesting. We know Nuggets started, but Nicholas guy. Now, I don't know, Terry. I don't know what the Nicholas guy is, but the Nicholas guy is letting folks know that, hey, come that first game in September, because they're going to play the Orange Blossom Classic again next season in Miami, Florida. Jackson State versus FAMU, first game of the season for both teams. It is going to be one of the most hyped games in college football all season, any level. FBS, FCS, Division-I, Division-II, Division-III, it don't matter. FAMU versus Jackson State is going to be one of the biggest games of the college football season. And it's going to be the first game of the season for both teams. That is going to be great to watch, especially with the trash talk that Mr. Nicholas Dixon has been doing towards these Jackson State players, including Nugget, Antoine Owen, Aubrey Miller, etc., etc. Now, someone says FAMU has more MEAC championships than all MEAC schools except South Carolina State in football. Diligent also says, we left because of expensive travel and more rivalries from SIAC days in the SWAC. That is a good point, Diligent. Shout out to Diligent for coming through with some facts. He's not stating cap. He's stating facts. He's letting it be known. FAMU's first game is North Carolina. But we ain't talking about that. We're talking about the first game of the season. My bad. Their first game is against North Carolina. All right, that's a payday game, whatever. We're talking about their first game of the HBCU schedule. They're going to play Jackson State. I think it's September 4th. September 4th against, I think I have FAMU's schedule right here. I don't even know why I just don't pull it up. But FAMU's first game of the season, of the HBCU season, that is, of the SWAC season, that is against Jackson State, I want to say, on September 4th. So that's going to be great. William Humphrey says A&T ran FAMU out of the MEAC. FAMU had a conference where they could compete. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. FAMU and the MEAC, FAMU would do fine. It was fine in the MEAC. FAMU, I mean, I'm more along the lines what Diligent was saying. There's a lot of good rivalries for FAMU and the SWAC. honestly, it's better logistically. You play all the schools in Mississippi. It's right there instead of having to go all the way up. I think logistically it makes sense. I think you got some good rivalries. And, you could, if you win the SWAC like they expect to do, then you go and play a good MEAC team in the Celebration Bowl. You go and play a South Carolina State. You go and play some of these big time MEAC schools. So I don't know if I completely agree with that. 6 receptions for 46 yards and 1 touchdown. A freshman in high school did more. Okay. That will be an L. You're talking about it will be L for who? You're saying that first game of the season will be an L for FAMU or be an L for Jackson State? Jackson State has 17 SWAC championships. That's great. Hey, by the way, we're talking about SWAC championships. Do not sleep on Grambling. Grambling, Coach Hugh Jackson, they're doing some really good things in recruiting, but Grambling is going to be a really, really, really good team, I think, this fall. FAMU didn't label themselves. It's a writer for NCAA. Please tell. No, I did diligent. I told that the writer, but no. FAMU did. Coach Willie Simmons put. We got to show the tweet again. We just got to show the tweet. Like Coach Willie Simmons. Yes, the writer from the NCAA put that article up, but Coach Willie Simmons labeled the team. We showed. The proof's in the pudding. Coach Willie Simmons. Last I checked, this is FAMU's head coach, is it not? This is Coach Willie Simmons. Coach Willie Simmons says that FAMU is the HBCU National Champions. He says the 2021 Florida A&M Rattlers once again to the top of the HBCU Division-I world. National Champions. This is from head coach Willie Simmons. Last I checked, the 27,000 followers, head coach of the Florida A&M Rattlers. I love God, my wife, our children, family, friends, my job, our enemies, if we have any, and life in general. This is Coach Willie. Coach Willie and his beautiful wife. Coach Willie. He put that tweet up. I didn't force that man to put that tweet up. He put that up. FAMU also made a banner that said they were the national champions. So no. It ain't just the NCAA. It ain't just me. FAMU declared themselves national champions. Black College Sports Network declared Jackson State national champions, but we watched the game. South Carolina State went out there and won the Celebration Bowl. South Carolina State had a great season. They won the MEAC. They won the Celebration Bowl. They handled Jackson State in the biggest game of the season for any team, and they won it. South Carolina State is the HBCU National Champions. To me, that's point blank, period. Yeah, they lost to FAMU. They lost decisively to FAMU. FAMU handled them. But by the end of the season, that was early in the season, just like FAMU played Jackson State early in the season, and they could say, hey, we didn't have our best game. South Carolina State played FAMU early in the season. They might not have had their best game. But by the end of the season, they were clicking on all cylinders. They are the HBCU National Champions. I'm going with South Carolina State, Coach Buddy Pugh and the Bulldogs. And that's my 2 cents. You can leave your 2 cents, in the chat. Leave your 2 cents in the comments. Who do you believe is the 2021 HBCU National Champions? NCAA says FAMU. Black College Sports Network says Jackson State. Box Toro took one poll that said South Carolina State, another poll that said Bowie State. I'm saying we can't move the goalposts. I'm saying it has to be South Carolina State. If we're declaring the Celebration Bowl, and we came out 50,000 strong to the Celebration Bowl, so that means 50,000 of y'all plus millions more watching on ABC believed that was the Black College National Championship. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't have came out 50,000 strong. You wouldn't have sold out, the parts of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium the way you did. You wouldn't have watched the game in historic ratings the way you did, because you believed, just like I did, that was the Black College National Championship. We can't move the goalposts. We can't fix the thing to fit our narrative. And if you're FAMU, you can't have 0 rings out of 3. You could have won 3 rings before the Celebration Bowl to declare yourself. You could have won your division title. You could have won your conference, and you could have won the Celebration Bowl. You went 0 for 3. And so you can't have 0 for 3 and declare yourselves national champions. That's just not how it works. Jackson State has accepted that South Carolina State is national champions. So I think we all should too. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Black Boss Channel and Jeff Lightsy Jr. on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. I respond to all comments. So if you leave comments, I'm going to respond to it. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Thank you all, and share this video. For anybody who has any confusion on who the Black College National Champion is, share this video and let them know what's up. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.